Every morning the world starts quietly, one soft light at a time. Homes flicker awake, shops open. People take those first small steps into a brand new day. And in all of that ordinary movement, there's something kind of extraordinary. A moment worth noticing, a spark you feel before you even name it. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's small, but kindness shows up right on time. And every morning we choose to show up with you so we can look for that spark together.
Good morning. I'm Matt Roof, the Uncommon Kindness Guy, and this is Kindness Rising. Let's rise together.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, this is Kindness Rising, and a happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day to you. Today, we are exploring something subtle, something powerful, and something deeply kind, the profound kindness of serenity in a loud world. Some people change the world by raising their voices, others by steadying the atmosphere around them. Dr. Martin Luther King did both. James Allen, we're going to bring him into the conversation again today, too. As a Man Thinketh, we will talk about that. And then we will also bring in the surprising topic, a little bit of a change topic. It's not really that much of a surprise. We're talking about advertising and AI. A little bit of a change of pace on that one, but some fascinating stuff happening in that world that I want to talk about. But first, I want to welcome you all to Kindness Rising. We come here every weekday morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, to help you rise with a little bit of kindness, to rise above the noise of the day. Come on in, say hello in the chat, say hello to me, say hello to Mike Sullivan, future life coach, who's joining, I know, from the West Coast, from San Francisco. Oof, buddy. That's all I have to say about San Francisco when we're talking about the NFL. I'm going to turn my heater off because I forgot to do that too. Because it's freezing down here. I'm down in my basement. There's no heat in my little studio here. And it's a cold day in New York. So anyway, Sully, sorry about your Niners if you care about that much. But it definitely was an interesting week in NFL playoffs. But that's not why we're here. That's not why we're here. We are here to rise above, to not be sad about the Buffalo Bills loss. All of upstate New York is under a gray cloud right now. But they put up a good fight. Josh Allen, very emotional in his response. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, Roseanne Roof. And Adam Holroyd, I am glad you are here too. Haven't seen you in a while, but I am so glad you are here today. Welcome. Good morning. Anyway, enough about the NFL playoffs, enough about the Buffalo Bills. Let's talk about this. This is what I've been really focused on. With Joe Montana back in the day, Sully. Those were some serious teams, man. Serious. Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, that whole crew, Ronnie Lott on defense. That's about when I grew up with the Niners too. The Niners and the Giants had some great confrontations back then too, some really good football. But James Allen, he reminds us that calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. But for him, it wasn't about being polite or being less than or weak. It was about mastery, the refusal to let that external noise dictate what's going on inside of us. And I think Martin Luther King, obviously embodied that kind of calm strength. Oh, you were teaching, Holroyd? Interesting. What have you been up to? That's great. I'm so glad that you've been doing something interesting, helping somebody else to learn. I love that. That's what I do every day when I come here, hopefully. Definitely. Tell us more about what you have going on, Adam. But anyway, Dr. King, he definitely embodied this idea, because for him, like nonviolence was not a personality trait, not something he put his philosophy out there and didn't practice. He absolutely practiced it with discipline. He studied, he trained, he prayed, all those things that came from internal strength for himself, following in the ways of Gandhi, right? But what was amazing to me about King and what I know about him was he wasn't just all about theology or all about psychology. He was strategic, a leader of men, of people, and he understood that you can have confrontation and you can have conflict without hate, right? Without violence. Unfortunately, his life ended for that reason. But because people couldn't understand that quietness, at the same time, the strength that he portrayed publicly, um, pretty amazing, pretty amazing. Um, and the idea that quietness, Gandhi obviously did the same thing. The idea that quietness doesn't mean you're doing something small. It does mean you're doing something deliberate and with intention and with vision in your heart, with vision in your mind. Yes, rail traffic controllers. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I forgot that about you, Adam, that you're the train guy. Jonathan Prasnick, welcome in. You may share something with us as long as it is kind and respectful and uplifting. We will listen and we will interact because that's what we do here on Kindness Rising. That's what we do. We share in the comments. We're building our community together, talking about what's going on in our lives. Make it something good. We'll talk about it, Jonathan. But what we're going to talk about first, though, is our kindness spotlight. I know some of us come here for this, and absolutely important to us to highlight, to spotlight organizations that are doing the work that we are talking about here, that are multiplying kindness and unlocking growth for good people who are doing good work. That's the mission of Kindness Rising and my mission every day coming here. And so we're going to talk about organization that's obviously related to Dr. King, and that's his King Center, founded by his wife. They have a whole framework that they work on. It's to carry on his mission of what Dr. lived. They call it the Nonviolence 365 framework. It's about non-reactive leadership, right? Being present, but not reactive. That's not weakness, that it's a strength, and that kindness is a strength. That it takes balance. We talk about balance here, balance to stay rooted in the storm when the winds are blowing you everywhere. They talk about self-awareness, to know what you stand for, to make sure that you are prepared and really, truly in your heart know what you stand for before confrontation. And that, most importantly, that it takes action to bring justice into the world, not just ideas. We have great ideas all the time, but our six strings here at Kindness Rising include action, and that's woven into practice and not performance for us. King called that practice, that group, his beloved, or just called it beloved community, where peace is not the absence of tension, but the presence of justice. I think that's really interesting. Not the absence of tension, but the presence of justice. Justice requires conflict. And King brought that to his work, to welcome into Kindness Rising. I am glad you have come to join us, just like we do here, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, every weekday morning.
Say, what actually brings people back together?
Shared moments. That's why we rise together on Kindness Rising.
Feels right.
It is.
And that Sensei Whiskers reminding us that these shared moments that we have together from 7:30 to 8 a.m. every day are what keep us together, keep us here, and what help us rise above. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit more now about this. Keep coming back to it, because there's just so many connections. So many connections to what we're talking about here on Kindness Rising, to what I'm going through in my life, what you're, I'm sure, going through in your life too. And a big part of this idea that our thoughts create our circumstances, whether we like it or not, or whether we are aware of it or not. But James Allen says this in his book, and I think it's very appropriate, obviously, to what I'm sure many of us think of when we think of Martin Luther King Jr. Allen wrote, "The dreamers are the saviors of the world." But by dreamers, he didn't mean people who are just out in left field, just not bringing anything to the table, not people who drift out into the world, but he meant people who can imagine, a better future with this, using their discipline and action, people who hold visions and ideals long before they become reality, right? Because it comes from inside. Yeah. So obviously, Dr. King was that kind of dreamer, and he encouraged us to have a dream, to have a vision for what we want that's grounded in our ideals, in our values of whatever it is that we cherish. And that always comes out. That always comes out. It's another poignant thing that James Allen talks about. And I forget the exact quote. Someday I'll bring it here, but it really is an idea that he brought forth in his book, that he brings forth in his book, is that people gravitate to what they love naturally, right? They will always gravitate towards what's truly in their heart, and what their thoughts are. Again, whether they are conscious of it or not, whether we are conscious of it or not, we gravitate to what we love, and where we get our joy, and where we get our dopamine hits, and all those things, right? That keep us feeling safe, and whatever that is, whatever we say is not what he's talking about. He's not talking about what we talk about, or the excuses that we make, or the justifications we have, but what's truly in our heart is where the action comes. And he also says this: he who cherishes a beautiful vision, a lofty ideal in his heart, will one day realize it. And that's the whole idea of inner thought, and what we tell ourselves every day. Sorry, I got a little system message here. I apologize if you're watching on LinkedIn, or if you were watching on LinkedIn. We'll try to get you connected back up. Apparently, it got disconnected. The feed was disconnected in some way. We're gonna figure it out. But anyway, we're talking about Alan, right? And who cherishes a beautiful vision, a lofty ideal in his heart. All right, looks like we're back on Linked. If you're out there on LinkedIn and you got cut off, I apologize for the technical error. Please stick with us. Sometimes things happen. All right. So again, we're connecting all these dots. I hope you'll get involved in the comment. All right, what does Mike Sullivan have to say? Okay. All right. Fine. I keep, I, ke- I realize I'm all over the place. I keep getting messages about LinkedIn. So apparently there's been problems with the LinkedIn stream. Oh, so yeah. Oh, you're in San Diego? I thought you were in San Francisco. Many of Dr. Martin Luther King's quotes on engaged in rectangular slabs in the concrete. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of inspiration from Martin Luther King Jr. I think everywhere you go, at least here in upstate New York, there are lots of hello Trinidad Green, welcome here in upstate New York. I know I observe a lot of recognitions, places, uh, and yeah, recognition places that recognize Martin Luther King that are built for particularly around community. We have one in our community called Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, where we have uh, a place for community to meet outdoors. A lot of outdoor concerts and speakers and community events start there or get launched from MLK Promenade, they call it here in Binghamton, New York. So I think it's important for us to build monument statues and recognitions to people uh, who have lived these ideals, obviously great people who have had tremendous impact. And I love the idea that it's a place of meeting and of action and not just a statue. Statues are fine and monuments are fine. I spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C. in my life, and I spent a lot of time around monuments. Um, I don't know how I'm off on this tangent, but that's fine. And I find ones that are most meaningful and the most engaging are the ones that draw you in and have you active, not just staring at a piece of stone, right? They evoke emotion. I mean, walk around the mall and remember what this country was really built on. I'm hopeful that those things will remain. MLK, there's a great, amazing, I don't know if you call it exhibit, piece, monument to MLK. Again, active, drawing you in, making you think. Well, with its structure, just a really cool thing. If you ever have a chance to get to DC, I highly, highly recommend the MLK monument as a place to visit, and you can just walk up to it there, right there on the mall. J.K. Benbot. All right. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm always curious when people bring something new, if it's a real thing and something interesting and different. Tell us about the Archipelago Multi-World Randomizer. No idea what that is. All right. Let's get back on track. I took my little tangent down to DC, visiting the Martin Luther King Jr. Monument and talking about building monuments. But what we really are talking about is building the power of ideals, right? The idea that we can describe the world not as it is, but how we wish it to be, and then demand that we make it be so. And we do that by showing up every day by action. That's what I do. That's why I have Kindness Rising. That's why Kindness Rising exists, to help people get up with a little bit of positivity, a little bit of self awareness, curiosity, growth, balance, and of course, kindness. And of course, kindness. Here's the thing, when you think about these visions and you think about the connections, geez. Okay. I am so easily distracted. The stupid LinkedIn messages that keep coming up are just like, okay, I get it. I'm not streaming on LinkedIn right now. That's fine. I'll connect with my friends on LinkedIn and tell them what I was talking about here. I'm sorry. Uh, curiosity, curiosity and vision. Curiosity asks what else is possible. And self-awareness asks, what part do I play in making this vision come true? Lastly, growth. That asks what must change for the ideal to take shape. James Allen, he believed that visions guide achievement. Dr. King, he proved that vision guides movement, and both believe that vision is what improves our humanity. So that is why I'm leaning into Martin Luther King Jr. and James Allen today, because my vision is to improve humanity, to guide humanity towards the ideals that I know within myself are what we're going to make the world a better place. The kindness that's inside of all that. To hold a vision is to believe another world is possible. That's what we're doing here on Kindness Rising, believing that another world is possible. And I think that belief in what I'm doing right now is a gift. It's a gift that I'm hopefully giving to the future. It's a little bit arrogant for me to say that, but I feel like it is. I feel like this is what's coming from me, through me, to you, however it comes, whatever you believe. And there is something inside me that brings me here every day, every weekday morning, 7:30 a.m. Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. All right. I promised I would switch gears though. So we got a little bit deep there with James Allen and Dr. King, but I also saw something that was just absolutely fascinating to me. Little whipsaw into technology here, because the world is changing fast, and we're all just trying to keep up. I know that, but the latest, and I think really indicative of the world, is that OpenAI just announced that ads are going to be starting appearing in your chat GPT for certain users. They're trying to they have ad-free content right now. They're trying to figure out how to fund their vision for the future. And of course, advertising comes in as an opportunity. Absolutely. But it's also an interesting dilemma, because it's not what AI necessarily was built for. It's not the way people use it. Right. There are a lot of people out there, including myself. I have to be honest with you that I'm using my AI bots to help me process through these things, to help me understand worldviews around these things. And those are great. And there are people who get extremely personal. I haven't gone there yet with their bots, but their vulnerabilities. I share vulnerabilities and concerns, and whatever the case may be. There are people who get extremely personal, like I said, and where does the data go? How is the data used? Of course, is always the dilemma, the uh, the wrinkle of this, right? Um, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just rereading my notes about it, right? So there's two sides to this, right? This idea, right? One is if it expands accessibility, because you have to pay for the deeper models and things, and if that expands accessibility because now people don't have to pay who can't pay, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing, right? But also, now how are those ads and how is that data used to influence and inform uh creativity, right? AI is supposed to be helpful. Now it's going to become influential. Moving from helpful to influential, that could get blurry really fast. I just think it's fascinating, right? The ethics behind that. Um, because AI, again, it understands context, it understands intention and emotion with the way people use it. And so then they can take that and twist it into persuasion and influence. So it's definitely going to start to raise some questions. It will definitely, I think, change the way certain people use the open AI model in ChatGPT. Um, Yeah. And it's just a curious thing. Um, and the ultimate question, is, can we build technology that treats humans as people and not just advertising targets? Because that's what it's become, right? It's advertising targets. Um, Now, I believe that advertising is an opportunity. It represents an opportunity to communicate your message, to deliver it, and all the digital tools that are out there are amazing to be able to make sure that the right people receive your message. So, in general, digital advertising is amazing, and I lean into it, and I love it from a business perspective. But when you get into the AI models, it gets into a little bit, just another layer, a little bit deeper, integrated into the life, and you start to think about these. At least I have started to think about these ethical questions, and already just knowing that it's out there, I know that I've already thinking about my behavior with my use of ChatGPT and my other models that I use for the work that I do and for my life. It's become integrated into that, and now it's like, oh, what do I say, and how is could this be used in a way that is not necessarily be in my best interest? I don't know. It's just curious to me. And that's what we do here on Kindness Rising. We raise those curious questions. We ask those. We get involved in this. Circles around again our discussion about rules. Mom, yep, bringing it back to the rules. What are the rules? What are the rules? And who makes the rules? And how are the rules followed? And how good is a rule if it's not enforced? If there's no consequences, if there's no bite behind them? All those great questions I think that are out there for us to engage and think about. But we are winding down on our time, and I always want to give you your little kindness call for today. And here's what I am going to suggest. That you think about how you might be able to practice non-reactive leadership. How good are you at reading the temperature in a room? And does it really matter? Because you can reset the temperature, whatever it is. What you, as bringing your quiet presence, by bringing your leadership, uh, you can reset the entire mood in a room. J.K. Benbot, do you believe other humans who work in advertising see the general masses as individuals or just as advertising targets? Well, I can tell you, J.K. Benbot, I live in that world, and I know for myself, other humans who work in advertising, I can't speak for. I can only speak for myself, which is when I'm working with my clients or people, I want to make sure that what they're bringing to those quote unquote targets. I do not like to use the word or think of the concept as targets. That feels a little less than human, right? But when we do talk about how to reach the people who can use the product or the service, the activity, whatever it might be, uh, um, yeah, sorry, I got distracted by these need an unk in their life. Unks. Yeah, I got you, unk. Um, One cranky mofo. Welcome in. And we are winding down. But I think that's a great question, J.K. Benbot. Why don't you come back tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, and we'll continue the conversation. I'll give some thought to advertising targeting. And I do think that it is human, at least at a local level. I always think about the human aspect and the impact on the greater community. Absolutely. All right. We got a little off track there, but we're going to bring it back home to wind down and say this. James Allen, as a man thinketh, he wrote, the more tranquil a man becomes, the greater is his success, his influence, and his power for good. The more tranquil a man becomes, the greater is his success, his influence, and his power for good. And Dr. Martin Luther King, he lived that. He also paid for it, but he lived it. because serenity is not silence, it is direction, and that quiet people can shape the world, because kindness is often carried by those who refuse to become the echo of the world they are trying to change. That's what we do here on Kindness Rising every morning, 7:30 a.m. Come and join me again tomorrow. And until then, stay uncommon and stay kind.
Okay, Matt, we got the memo about the Kindness Rising promo, but what exactly are we promising people?
And is there craft services? AI needs snacks too.
Gentlemen, focus. Kindness Rising multiplies kindness and helps people get up on the right side of the bed.
So wait, we're not doing another angry headline show.
Exactly. We rise above the negative, divisive noise.
Translation, less rage bait, more high fives for humanity. And this is live, like actually live.
Yep. We go live on YouTube and LinkedIn, 7:30 a.m. Eastern every weekday.
Wait, if it's live, what if I forget my lines?
Then you improvise.
Okay, so our tagline is basically wake up, tune in, and start your day with kindness.
Exactly. Kindness Rising. Good vibes, practical tips, and a reason to get up on the right side of the bed.
You heard the boss. Subscribe now before he makes us do a TikTok dance.
Kindness Rising. Wake up, tune in, and let's make some good noise.